Good evening, ladies, and welcome to our election analysis right here on PlusTV. We have had the wonderful opportunity to vote. I still think I have the purple one of my fingernail, and I was able to leave my post in Cayo Central, where I was covering this year's national elections, and to come into Belmopan, vote, and then go back to my station. Sometimes journalists in the heat of the day don't get to cast their vote because they are so busy giving you the play-by-play. But we are grateful that the elections are over. They were peaceful. A lot of changes have taken place. Some things are the same. We will hear the good, the bad, and the ugly this evening from our guests that have joined me to analyze this year's elections. So let me welcome the panel this evening. It is a beautiful Thursday evening. It is the 13th of March. And let me take this opportunity to welcome Pastor Santi Valencia with us. Pastor Santi, good evening to you, and we're glad that you could make it.
Absolutely.
And we have LJ Wayne with us, who is, he covered the Cayo South elections, and of course he is the lead journalist here on Plus News. And we are glad to have our guest analyst with us, Mandela Wade. I really hope that you be no stranger on Plus TV as we move forward, because I always enjoy your posts and your observation. He hails from Belize Rural North, living in Belmopan with his family. And so Mandela is by trade, by profession, a petroleum engineer, and he works with the Belize collection here in the capital city of Belmopan. So welcome to you all. It's a pleasure. We will start just with the opening comments. Pastor Santi, you will go first.
Well, you know, I feel a leeway because I am the only outsider right here. I'm surrounded by lone Wades. So I guess we have to change that, right? But it is a privilege for us to be here, Pastor, and just have this discussion about where we're at, because it has been a pretty big uproar, and there is a lot that we want to cover. There's a lot that how you call it when it has the bite my bit, because this has been quite I don't know. Pastor, they try to decide how I feel.
You still try to decide.
Yeah, I try to decide how do I really feel about this whole deal. I think before the evening is over, I might be able to get out some of my feelings about the big picture.
Big picture. Well, we will hear what you consider to be the good, the bad, and the ugly in a few minutes time.
There's a lot of them.
Yes. LJ, good evening. It's a pleasure having you with us.
Yeah, glad elections over. I had to cover Cayo South. Dipped me toe a little bit in Belmopan to see what the temperature was like in those two constituencies. So I'm excited to talk about what I saw on the ground with you guys, my expectations, and how I feel about the final results. So yeah.
All right. Mandela, it's a pleasure having you with us this evening.
Well, pleasant good night to everyone, to all your viewers. It's indeed a pleasure to be here. Thanks for inviting me. The election, I'm grateful that it's over, because first of all, the results, like you rightfully said, mix. A lot of stuff that we saw were predicted were going to happen, and I think there were a lot of surprises. But through it all, we move on. It shows that our democracy is still alive. Personally, I'm very grateful for the fact that Belize continues to have free and safe elections.
Those that was a fear.
Fear is very. It's interpretive. It's interpretive because different people have different skills, right? But if I can just put one more in here, Many times, after leading up to the elections and after the elections, it's all about the people with their names on the ballot, right? And but very often we forget the people who prepare for the elections and those who close the elections down. So I think we should give our public officers and security forces a huge congratulations and thanks for guiding the process as you do every so often. And I think also sometimes the people whose name go on the ballot who gets the least amount of vote, sometimes they're forgotten, but I always tip my hat to people who decide to put their name on the ballot, especially if it's against the grain.
Exactly.
When you do that consciously, knowing you're exposing your family, yourself, your credibility. So all of this is part of the democratic process, which we must appreciate.
Like I believe that in an election like this election, Leah, when we saw that there were turmoils in the opposition. You saw that the People's United Party had a lot of resources to put in. Like to put your name down in a year like this, to say, yes, I will run for the UDP or I'm going to run independent. You got your heart big. Wow. Your heart have to be big because you would have known that even under normal circumstances, the resources would not be there as if your party was in government. You knew that there was some of it was just for the love of the party and for the love of democracy that some of the 31 were there. You were like a lamb led to the slaughter and you knew it was going to be tough. Now, let's start first, if that's okay, before we get into the election. Let's start first with the fact that there were lawsuits from the Belize Justice Movement. From the Belize Justice Movement, one of them, as well as the peace movement. Affidavits were signed, etc., and attempts even they did receive a lawyer, and they did proceed to try to get an injunction to stop the election from taking place because there had not been redistricting. So we need to understand that we went into another election without redistricting. Your thoughts on this? I felt it was a gallant effort as well. I think it was a boost to our democracy that a group of people said, let's sue. Let's try. Let's try at least this branch of government to say we need redistricting. So to me, win, lose, or draw, I felt that it was necessary for a group of people to say, we will take the risk, we will step forward, we will take the challenge. We know we're going to get cussed out. We know that passions are high, but we will ask the court to make a determination as it relates to redistricting. Your thoughts on that?
Well, let me first, Pastor, let me say congratulations to the of course, the incumbent that are now the new government because the old government that done. So congratulations to the PUP. And also, I want to say hats off to all of the other candidates that believe in democracy and throw your hats in and really went for it. It doesn't matter if you get 3 votes, guess what? It shows democracy to the highest level, and we respect that. And I believe we should. It matters if
you get 3 votes, but that don't mean it talk.
Well, listen. Well, you see, the thing is that why the Faith Bob, I think, we win by 1 vote, yes. Right? By 1 vote. So really, we can't take it lightly. And then we say, look, it looked bad, yes, but the truth is that they did it. It's a peaceful election, and it's over now.
Yeah.
I personally believe what the current government campaigned on while the UDP were in. One of those campaign promises was redistricting. We had the time, so I would really like some explanation as to why we never had a redistricting. Why was it? Was there a lack of will to do it? Or because you could do as you please? Or what is it? How you explain this to us? Or government might say, well, we don't have no money because redistricting will cost money. Listen, We need to do it.
They had 5 years.
Right?
They had 5 years. Right, thoughts?
Yeah, well, my thing with the redistricting, it's not surprising to me because we've went through this with the previous administration, the United Democratic Party, and I'm pretty certain. Yeah, well, you're right. It was one of the commitments of the current administration when they came in. But why I'm not surprised, we're going through a constitutional reform process right now, and one of the things that we're learning from this process, which I think most people can appreciate, is the dysfunctionality and the incestuous relationship that exists between the judiciary, executive, and the legislature, right? Where, in particular, with the legislature, those at the House of Representatives and the executive, if there is not the political will from the ruling party, because of the current structure and system that we have, then these things aren't surprising. And then there might be some that even argue that when you go to the courts to challenge the government on something like this, many will argue that don't expect to get the type of ruling that you would imagine, or
so
believe
you
you should
kind of
get.
expect that they never may get it.
Personally, yes,
Like
I did,
Right.
because
Me
I
too.
know that our
You
structure
do?
is not functioning.
Wow.
Right.
So you felt that they would have a chance that they may have forced government
Stop the election.
have redistricting before election?
None at all.
So that's
We've
bad
seen
for
it
the
before,
judiciary.
yeah, because we've seen it before in 2019. We've seen it before in 2019 when they tried it to stop the 2020 elections. It failed.
You're right.
This election came around again. I believe that it was a valiant effort, but they started too late in the process. We've been hearing for months leading up, election I get called,
Yes.
election I get called,
It's too
election
late.
I get called. I determined it too late. Because they sent the letter to the PM, the week of elections being called, because they know that the rumor and speculation was Friday in the House, PM will make the announcement. They sent that letter Tuesday. Things were already in motion.
Yeah.
But what I will respect from Mr. Enriquez, who filed at the previous one, he did say that he'll start earlier this year. So I think after this election dust has settled down, he says that he will once again start keeping the government's feet to the fire to have a redistricting exercise before the next general elections, which they should have done from 2020, I believe.
I don't know no politician who would have happy about redistricting because you like your constituency, you know the boundaries, you know everybody where they in there, you know who vote for you, who know the vote for you, you know where all your safe house then there with all your extra votes.
Well, but
right? Yeah. So
but
I would want to tell the government, please do it now.
Yes,
do it
yes.
now, like early. So you have 5 years.
Everybody has time to catch up.
You have time for catch up.
Correct.
You got time. Like, please do it now. Do it this year. Do it before
Make
the
it a
end of the
priority.
year, so that your guys can go know their new constituents, etc., etc., etc. And you have 5 years to settle down.
Well, I would have liked to have seen it being done, prior to this election, because there is this buzzword coming out of the discussions around constitutional reform, clientelism,
Yes.
right? And clientelism survives on your ability to know your people, know where they are, because some will argue that politicians employ a method where, if they know they're weak in this area or this area might not have voted for them, they punish them, they push resources in another area. These things happen, I believe, and unfortunately when we talk about it, we see it as a norm, right? But I think we need to move away from these things, and it starts with the way we think, the way we carry on with our discussions,
Now, 2 constituencies for the first time in history, 2 constituencies did not even have an election. No.
I wonder why.
Pickstock and Fort George did not even have an election. Brief thoughts on that, because I see Oswin Blease, a good friend of mine. I don't know, you know Oswin Blease. He is from Belize Rural South. He made help way at Cayo Central. He was way in Cayo Central. I interviewed Oswin Blease. I said, Oswin Blease, what are you doing here? I think he was probably a chairman of Sun Hill at some time in the past, or I know he lived in the Maxborough area. He votes in Pickstock. And there's no election,
Yeah.
so some of those were around. I don't know what brief thoughts on the fact that two constituencies just never even gone at the polls in 2025. I think like that is history.
I feel bad for the constituents of that area
Yeah.
because I feel like a big part of election is you get to showcase your voice.
That's right.
Despite being it, you know, if you want to vote independent, who want to get 3 votes,
Yeah.
you want to vote UDP or the PUP, I feel like those people who are disenfranchised
Yeah.
couldn't even vote for who they want. Nevertheless, Mala and Mr. Henry Charles would have won. That's not the point.
Sure.
The point is the people didn't get a chance to at least let their voices
That's
be
right.
heard. You know, Mr. Dean Samuels has had his reasoning as to why. I know people faint sometimes, things they had, and I blame the man, and I say if the man a liar, tell the truth. But I felt bad for the people of those areas
Sure.
who didn't have a chance to vote on that day.
I'm with you. I'm with you 150%. Because see, look, when we had Pickstock was Sedi Errington,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
2 terms, I believe.
And we always say, Sedi Errington, my people, and then when you say Sedi win, how he won? How he won?
Large
The amount of
margins.
people that came out to support Sedi and though my people. So where are those faithful UDPs for Pickstock that followed or put Mr. Errington there? What happened?
Nobody wanted to run against.
You know, I mean, and I agree with LJ. Even if you win, lose, draw, because I feel personally, I feel the same way. You have been a winner also. However, you could have had some representation. So I am disappointed in both those constituents.
Mandela, when normally say elections are won on election
Election
day,
day, right.
not so anymore.
Not
right.
anymore. This one is difficult to comment on because, well, first of all, we need to all appreciate we don't import our politicians. They come from within our society. I don't know the exact reasons why those 2 candidates withdraw, and I don't want to get into the gossips. But
Well, no gossip though, the man gone for the man tell you why he would
with artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
So,
Dean, was that you?
I will go as far as to say it's very unfortunate. Yes, but I don't know that I can single-handedly point my hand at anyone or anything. It's because that is one of the situations where yes, it was too late. Because then how do you scramble and find somebody within 15, 20 minutes?
It was tough. Well, I gone on record already for said Dean Samuels. I understand your situation. Like, it's tough to run in this year, and it's tough to run without money, and it's very tough because you need mobilization. And I was seeing it again yesterday. The amount of money that it takes because. First of all, somebody have to deal with the box all the time. Every single room in that polling station, you need 2 people for the cross-off stuff.
Yeah.
And then people want food, they're on the outside, they're waiting. So, and even the talk about the crowd will come for food or the crowd will come for support. Just the literal needed machinery is large.
Yes.
I've been a part of the process before. And I have had an insight of what it takes. And I can tell you for a polling area, anything shy of $5,000 can barely take care of the supplies, the water, that might not even be food as yet, Especially a mass party will then invest even a little bit more into bringing technology to keep record of people coming in, their pledges coming in, and I'm reporting back to some central location, and these things take money and resources,
Yes. It takes a lot of money, and I was seeing that,
I
just
feel
watching
for
the
those,
basics.
We've heard a number of those cries even here in our local
Yes.
area, Belmopan here, So I feel for those candidates.
One red shirt at $20, 100.
Without the print.
Without the print. You even talk about so. I mean, enough respect to those who are able, you know, it takes money
Yeah.
to participate. Some people are in it heart and soul. They love the person who's running running in their area.
Yeah.
They want to see them win. They're not going to take any money. They're just going to do. They lend their vehicle. They put in their own gas. There are those people all over the country,
yes.
red, blue, independent, who just for the love of democracy and
Yes.
wanting to see a person win, they put their resources
Yeah.
in. And then, of course, there are others as well. So we shouldn't just bunch them
No,
all
no,
up
definitely.
together.
Yeah.
The fact is that there indeed are people who genuinely
That's right.
are a part of the
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
All right, now let's take a look at what were the upsets. What were some of the things that
Huge, Pastor.
the-
Huge, Pastor.
like the
Ooh,
one what get you?
Well, I
what
think, I
get
think
you?
you have to start the
Wait.
Colette.
Colin.
You have to start the Colette
Hey,
if you
right?
want to
Right?
upset, if you want to shock and
You know the first thing when I say, LJ? You know the first thing when I say when I can't? Boy, I see Patrick when they got him by 2 hand and 2 foot when they were dragged by UB the time when they
Now way back there, guys.
way back, right? Patrick, I'm a pretty boy back then, right? And they catch the man, I don't know if you remember that, right?
Yeah.
They got down by 2 hand and 2 foot stretch out, boy. They go and Patrick and run for them and they catch the man.
In other words, they pay the price.
He paid the price, yes,
to
yes,
be in-
yes.
in-
And truthfully, look, if we look at it, one of Patrick's worst thing that at least that I could remember came about was the battering, right? But
Personal stuff.
yeah, and I don't hear about a lot of other corruption per se about Patrick, but that was a big upset, brother.
yeah.
It was a big upset. So how many people were surprised? Was that a major one? For me,
Yeah,
it was a major one.
It was for me as well. When I look at the former Minister Faber era representative, you know, what I liked about him was his ability to give a decent presentation in the House of Representatives,
Sure.
and I think the now opposition will lose that.
Yeah.
You know,
They lose their best politician.
Right?
Yeah, the best person to represent and speak, you know, and from
Educated,
opposition.
well educated,
Yeah,
balanced. So this person says disagreed with a comment made earlier. He said people had a chance from 7, they talk about the money. People had a chance from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. to go out and vote. I know my vote can't be bought. I had 0 campaigners at my house, 0 money given, 0 influence. I walked to the polling stations, cast my vote given as a proud Belizean. If you get paid for your vote, stay cheap. So the money I was talking about
Yeah,
was, let me say, it's
yeah,
not
not
money
to
for
pay
paying
people.
for
That's
vote.
right.
That's not.
No,
That's
sir.
what I said machinery.
Yes.
A machinery on election day is
Yeah,
a
yeah.
real
Yes.
thing.
Yeah, yeah.
There are
It is,
people
it
who are invalids that need transportation to and from studio. There are people you need to buy water for them. They need
Yeah.
water and they need food. It's the
Yeah.
least that you are going to do. They have to be identifiable, so you need your shirts. There are things that are needed. So we are not talking corruption.
Period.
We are talking about
Yes.
in order for democracy to. So it's not like people just don't come out and vote for numbers.
Yeah.
No, there are people who cannot come out on
You
their
have to
own.
facilitate them.
You
Yes,
have to facilitate them. So I congratulate the person who made the comments, because it is great that you are able to,
You know-
with $0, you will go and vote. I feel the same way too. No politician will pay me or give me money to go vote. And so I appreciate that with
You know,
but there are
I-
people that need the help.
I was once a public officer, 7 years. I worked 3 general elections, 3 municipal, and several village councils within the Cayo district here. And there are many.
General election.
Yeah.
Mandela,
I
you
started
know,
off in
you know, I'm thinking
no,
you
but
just go to
I
27.
came straight from university into the public service. That was my first gig as a petroleum engineer for the geology and petroleum department. Yeah, but there are many times I was fed by one of the camps. You know, the government provides you your stipend for food, and your returning officer organizes that for you. But the in betweens, right? The snacks, the Gatorade. You know, and yeah, so the machinery is for real. It
So
does
forget
help
about
people.
that because we know the time about paying nobody
No.
for vote.
Yeah.
Period.
No.
We don't know we talk
We're
about that
talking
time.
about clean,
Right?
even in a clean
Yeah.
clean election.
Yeah.
Finance.
That's
So what
right.
were the numbers as it relates to Colette?
So
and-
I'll share my screen so that you guys can see what I'm seeing here. I'm using the Elections and Boundaries app.
Yeah.
Super useful on election day.
Congratulations.
Oh no,
Please.
great.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
yeah, amazing,
Absolutely.
amazing
Yeah.
app. All the details at the fingertips.
I think they're sponsored by
In collaboration
a company
with-
here in Belmopan, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Total Solutions or Billy
Yes,
Solutions
Billy,
or something
yeah.
like that, if I'm not sure.
Right.
So
Shout out to my friend the
Colette.
Palacios.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
call it 3,625 registered electors. 67% of those persons came out to vote. Now, we have a call on the line. I don't know if you want to take it before I
We
continue.
will take the call.
Let me
Let's take
take
that
the call before I
Brief
continue
comments,
then.
because with the roll.
67%
Go ahead, Carla. Thank you for joining us, 822-2031. Good morning. Good evening.
Good night.
Hello.
You're on live.
I'm on the time. Hello.
You're on live. Just continue, Carla.
PlusTV, listen, I want to put the table tonight, yeah. You know, Mr. Wade, as you know, everyone must know, this country, so it is so corrupt. So corrupt. For all angles. And what I'm saying, what I'm bringing to the table tonight is that the media houses entertain these people here with their nonsense. So I'm not like that. But it is time now, the time has come to lock off them, Balede. Why the following is a paid political announcement? The proceeding is a paid political announcement. We will stop that, man. You can hear me now? I'm clear about?
I don't. What is the problem? What is the problem?
The media is entertaining these corrupt politicians. That's what I'm trying to bring to the table.
How is the media entertaining them?
It is
By playing their ads? We have to play the ads.
Listen. We're not here to argue.
Yeah.
No, but I want to
Please,
ask. I'm asking.
Let me speak. If I was the owner for Love FM Plus TV, I don't accept them money.
Wouldn't
Because
be
they
then
use
the owner of a TV
Hold on,
station.
hold on, Mr. Wade, let me speak. Let me talk. They use the taxpayers' money to pay all the media houses. And apart from that, all what they spoon, their own stupidness, their own nonsense, their own lies. And the media, they entertain it. The media, they entertain it. We might say, oh, they pay. We don't need them money, Beijing. We don't need them money. We don't need them man money. Then they are dirty money. And they are corrupt money.
Thank you
Now,
for
when
your
they
high
please
confidence
believe
in
them
our financial
and we
ability.
tired. You speak on tired. The kind of thief we and they go pay on you. They go pay the media. And it's time now to come to a close. This needs to stop. This needs to stop. Because the loan stupidness the POP and UDP do it. The both parties do it. And they have to stop, Mr. Wade.
Thank you,
The
Carla.
media
You
houses need to
repeat
come-
yourself. You repeat yourself. Thank you for your call, Carla. Just keep it short.
The people who lose
Oh, you
yesterday.
lose. You never win.
The only reason to be
Let me say
upset.
something very quickly here. Whenever we talk about using the people's money, we need to understand that the public service is a well-structured system. And whenever you have parts of the service not functioning, it creates an imbalance, right? Destabilizes everything. And one of the things we've been back at, well, you guys who sit behind here on a daily basis have been talking about the auditing, the Auditor General, right? So if indeed that government funding or our funding is being used to do ads or anything that it shouldn't be used for political mileage, this is where these things should come out when you audit government finances.
Well,
right?
here are the facts.
It can't
Most
be
of the
taxpayers.
advertising
They're
in
paid.
this election were social media advertising.
Yeah.
That's
Most
another
of
thing
it.
as well.
So I'm listening to the caller, but the truth of the matter is was social media advertising. And social media advertising that Mike Zuckerberg, $5, $10 US. So it may very well have been the cheapest election in the history of our country.
Probably, right?
Yeah.
From an advertising.
Personally, I would want to amen that, Pastor.
Because the opposition didn't have as much funds as they would like to have. One party had practically nothing. And then the People's United Party, believing that they would win, they did not advertise on many avenues that they previously advertised, including us, and the concentration of funds went on social media. Because I follow advertising, because as the caller say, I am in advertising.
right.
So I think this was the cheap, in my opinion, this was the cheapest
Pretty cheap,
election
right.
in history.
But LJ may say something when they talk about college, Pastor.
Yes.
67%. Now remember that I don't know rookie we have. He knows
Let's put up back the
So-
statistics. Yeah.
This was one of the more shocking results, I think, for everybody,
Yeah.
for multiple reasons. One of the main reasons is because that constituency was a UDP stronghold since 1998.
Right.
Yes, yes.
That's 27 years. That's as old as I am. It has never been blue.
Wow.
Faba was the area rep for 22 years.
Yeah.
Never lost. Champion.
Yep.
I think Mr. Mandela said it correct. One of the UDP's best political soldiers.
Yes.
He picked up
in
from
the
Faith
House.
Bab, right?
It
It
is
was
true.
Faith
It
Bab.
is
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
One of the best speakers. I love listening to Mr. Faba
I
speak in
agree.
at the house. And
It always makes sense.
always makes sense. You know if it
Yeah,
joke,
yeah.
you know if it make it facts,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
True.
for somebody like me, it's one of the most well-known. I grew up
Exactly, yeah.
seeing him, listening to him.
Faba that the area find out like Sana 2.
But you know what the sad thing? You
I learned.
know what the sad thing about that? You know what the sad thing about that? If you stop and look at it right now, we have Tracy Panton and we have
Lee Mark Chang.
Lee Mark Chan and what's his
Gera
name?
out west.
Well,
You're
well,
talking about the
Hugo
UDPs,
Hugo
Hugo
Pat,
Pat,
for representing at the house.
It's five of
Hugo
them.
Pat.
Five
Yeah, Hugo
winners.
Pat. So we have three of them.
Yeah.
We're in the house now for the debate.
Yeah. No, they have 5.
Five, yeah,
Five
but,
is five.
but I don't know the other two if they have the level of experience.
Yeah.
Because Faber good for 5 right there by himself when it comes to addressing in the house, right?
Yeah.
Because
So we believe that he will be a senator?
Well, they call it Senate the upper house, right? They call
Yes,
it Senate
it
the
is
upper
the
house,
upper
but in
house.
terms of,
Tracy
in
back.
terms of political optics, for me, it would be at the most.
Yeah.
Kind of
But
way,
Tracy
right?
will
That's
take
just
care.
optics for me.
Tracy says
Tracy
he
will
will
take
be
care
back.
of. Tracy will take
So-
care of her people. No questions asked.
Yeah.
But I was showing what happened in Colette because it's very interesting. You see, the most voters came out at 8 a.m. What
Yeah.
happened was shock and awe.
Yeah, right.
I remember Pickstock never have no election, and the other one I can't remember off the top of my head.
Fort George.
Fort
Fort George.
Yeah.
Fort George and Pickstock. People went to Colette. I don't say vote.
Moral
but they-
support.
Moral support. They got
Yes.
the
Yeah.
flags. They got the shirt. They
Yeah.
got the music.
That's right.
Overwhelm
Yeah.
Colette
And that's
to
called
the max.
machinery.
That are the machinery.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Pushed by Marla.
Strategy.
Marla in a Colette. Marla
Strategy.
could have taken the day off. Marla was in Colette.
yeah.
Shock and awe. The most voters came out at 8 a.m. completely rattled Faber and his machinery.
From your analysis, how does the turnout compare to previous years?
I was
For
looking
this
at it for
constituency.
this on this app and I could not find it.
Could not find- okay.
But I believe 67% is right around average.
Okay.
But Faber did not lose by a lot.
Yeah.
He lost by
No, it was
he lost
pretty
by
light.
about 100 and I would say about 160 votes he lost
You
by.
get about 1,200 and something, right?
All right.
Yeah, so Devin Daly got 1,271
Yeah.
and Faber got 1,108. Huge upset because Daly is a first-time runner,
Yeah.
complete novice in this political field, but he won. And I think this is the biggest
Biggest
shock
upset.
of the entire day.
Biggest, yes.
For sure.
Okay, now let's talk a little bit about that Shakana, the Shakana, because you talk about the fact that a mighty machinery in collaboration with Anthony Marla's machinery brought out hundreds of voters. You could see it there on the chart between 7 and 8, and after that, not even like 5, between 5 and 6, it would peak back up. Didn't happen.
Yeah.
He couldn't come back. Now, the optics matter. Optics matter because I hear people like Radson Fraser. There are other people that don't have the funds, and so they say, "Well, I just come out with my family.
Yeah.
I don't need a machinery." You know, everybody is bringing out very large parades. I don't need to do that because I'm visiting the people. The vote is such, here is my opinion, and of course they're just opinions, but the vote is such that when you see that mighty army roll in of whatever color, because
sir.
red has had their time when they just bring, they bring it. And you don't even want to put on your blue shirt. Then in other places, like, no, I'm talking about when the Reds, listen, when UDP was rolling, UDP was rolling. Under Dean Barrow, UDP was a mighty force.
Man.
So then the blue, you shrink back because you see the mighty force. Now the reverse has taken place. And listen, time. We live long enough. It's going to happen in the opposite direction again. It's going. It flips.
Pendulum.
But in Colette, so Colette is showing us, because we didn't know this guy. We don't know this guy who went against him. Patrick Farber is well known across the country of Belize. Nobody would have put their money on Mr. Daly. I would not. We're not betting people, but I would not have put my money there. And he come. Why? Machinery and optics. It was so overwhelming that people said, boy,
we lose.
Not this year.
Well, let me throw something at
Sure.
you, right? Because the last thing I would want to do is to discredit the now Honorable Daly.
Yes.
Right? I don't know him personally. I don't think I've ever met him, but I know a number of people in my peers who know him, and he's quite respected, within his peers, within the sporting community in the Belize City area, in volleyball, basketball, and so one of the things, I don't know if this type of data comes out, but one of the things that would be interesting to look at is to see the breakdown of the voter demographics. Who came out? Is it that younger,
what's his first name?
under, I think Devin Daly, is it below that 30? Age range 18 to 30, did our senior citizens came out? These people would have been the people, I believe, who would have been the driving force behind Honorable Farber as he progressed in his political journey, because even that plays a role, and there's a cycle to that as well, the generations. As you go along, so.
But the man only started to appear in the news when he became.
Yes, but his ability to connect, you cannot discredit that,
No, Mr. Daly paved a road in Colette, I think like 2 weeks ago, and it was a road.
Not figuratively.
No, I thought he paved a road, he paved a street.
Figuratively paving a road.
And
he paved a street.
The ground is that they wanted Farber to pave that road for the past 5 years.
And Daly came up and.
But of course, people in a power,
Of course.
money talks,
Of
but
course.
still,
Yes.
you had 5 years to pave a road.
Well, boy, I heard a thing with Tracy's when I campaigners said who was on one of the media houses when they said about one lady when we need one lock on a door. I don't know if you heard that story. He said in Albert, he said the lady needed a lock on a door. And in I don't know if it was in Mesopotamia, he said, but shine on the brat, the door didn't bring the lock. And so they went to campaign and the lady said, I get the door, but I don't get no lock. And so they gone and buy a $50 lock, put it on the door, and the lady vote for them.
Correct.
And the statement was, it's not what you did for me last week.
So what you're doing now.
It's what you're doing for me today. And I was like, to me, you still learn things. Yes, it's a part of the clientelism and people will want something. But I said, like, that's amazing that you get the door, which was more expensive than the lock. But because the lock didn't come and the lock came last, your vote went there. So the vote is a fickle vote. Any vote. It could.
And it's almost
not
like, so he almost, you make the one thing
but
that maybe should I just go ahead and vote for Lee Mark Chan anyway? Because I'll tell you, I said before, right? I got to a Lee Man house one time where he had two blue or white flag by gate.
Yeah.
Big
blowing in the wind.
Blowing with the wind. And I go, man, where is? No, the man very personal. And they do me so come. And I follow the man about far to the wall again in the house. He said, look there. And above him bed, the Gali house there, above the bed had one of the Barrow posters. The whole length of bed. He said, that's my vote going. But they fly two PUP flag by gate.
Mandela, the Belizean voter, is very interesting.
What? Yeah, but I also think it's changing, Well, first of all, we touched on the cost of the advertisement comment. I mean,
yes.
Social media and the way how even the traditional media has evolved now. people access to information. You know, I think our voters are now being more independent minded. You know, they're free thinkers.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a good thing for democracy as well, because it requires more of our aspirants, right?
And I personally feel that the next election, Pastor, will be maybe one even bigger upset, because with the coming of another generation, where we'll be more aware. Listen, you see, young people like LJ and age right there, so you got enough of them where I believe want to start to rally with for them peers, and when I say elections start to shift gears, you know, and you start to continue upset. Now, when they talk about the upsets, Pastor,
Well, yes.
Well, my comment would kind of lead to a segue. I don't know, right, if you want
Go
that.
ahead.
So we spoke about, I think somebody touched about the democracy and how does the result, how reflective it is of our democracy and the strength of our democracy where it is right now, the 5 to, would be what, 26, right? I see an opportunity here now, because the configuration of the United Democratic Party now, I think we're still in an age where it's a two-party system, right?
Yes.
I think now that there is an opportunity for the type of rebuilding that would see new faces hopefully come on board, right? Which is good for a democracy.
Right.
The PUP will probably be, after this term, begin to transition into a similar type thing.
Well, the Prime Minister said he's not retire again now. The Prime Minister about 2 months ago said, it's my last term, I go wrong. And last week the man said, but things look good, so I might stay on for another 5 years.
Immediately after the man said, the next morning I was on the air and I said, don't worry about that statement. When you drink it, you want more. Listen, Boots come back out.
Right?
Manuel Heredia come back out.
Right?
John Saldiva come back out. And they were not the other ones.
Well, but you know, there is an interesting discussion
Yes.
right now. Do we in the constitutional reform discussions, do we put term limits?
Yeah.
I think there's a term limit on the Prime Minister, but do we extend that to members of the House of Representatives? Right?
Yeah.
I am kind of on the fence with it. I think it has to, you have to know why you want it, because if you put a 3-term limit across the board, then what are expectations to have somebody that is experienced politically as a statesman leading your country?
Yeah, even
right?
on a board,
Gambling.
even if on a board, your church board, or if you change your board members too frequently, you end up losing the core, like the core values. But it is important. There needs to be a time when you hang up the hat.
I believe so. I believe so too.
I agree.
And he made a good point stating that it's time for new faces in the UDP. I felt that they should have looked at that avenue from before this split in the party occurred. I think Shine Barrow really did the party a disservice in this general election and leading up to whatever their future is. And I do believe that Panton deserves some of the blame as well. I believe they should have came together for this general election. It wouldn't have made a difference, but at least you show a united front to the voters. It never make a difference at all.
It might have.
No, I don't. No,
They might have brought in at least another person or two, maybe.
In my opinion, Kayo Central UDP would have stood a better chance if the leadership had been united.
Yeah.
They could have pushed Mr. O'Brien
And
more.
also, I think the same with Omar Figueroa versus they came so very close. So I believe that Kayo, for the most part, is still red. Red.
The heart
I think they are just waiting for their party to get it together.
Yes, that is my opinion.
And then Dangriga would have been different.
Yes, that would have been different.
How much was it per 37 or something like that?
For Dangriga, I'll get it right now.
Yeah.
Most of the
Dangriga would have
PUPs
been
came
different.
out, right? Most of the PUPs came out, the UDPs didn't come out.
There was no UDP candidate in
Dangriga.
Dangriga,
And
right?
none in
Correct?
Punta Gorda, none in Toledo.
You're right.
Toledo
Dangriga was
East.
47%.
Yes.
Okay.
You see, and that 47 was PUP because there was no UDP.
Yes.
So the leadership fight did have
an
impact. Like I saw it on the ground.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about Freetown. Let's not Freetown, Mesopotamia. Is that the second one to talk about?
That's another.
But before we go
to me, that was still a big surprise. Yes.
Before we go to Mesopotamia, I wanted to touch on something you said, that the fraction in the UDP party did play a role in this election. Because if you can see the screen, this was the lowest voter turnout from since 1984.
One thing with that, you have to take into account that a couple thousand people didn't go to the polls not by choice.
No, I agree, but
right?
the voters list was a mess. Okay, but still low. The lowest it has been. Last year we had 81%, super high turnout. This year we only reached 65%. And I believe that is just because people say, UDP not the win, so why I go not and vote anyways? I think exactly.
And then remember, 2 constituencies there was no election.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
That's a whole huge group of people. So
I like the type of analysis you're doing though, because if I was in executive at the UDP, and even the PUP, in those municipalities where or areas where there was that big blowout, I would want to go and see what percentage came from the other party over to me, because the blowout as it is could be very misleading, you know, in terms of your true strength. This is for the ruling party now, right?
But well, some areas are sure, but like Kayo South where I was, my goodness, in evidence, it was evident what would have happened from the polls open.
Yes.
It was sad.
I was in Kaya Central, and I would say toe to toe, UDP and PUP were fighting for Kaya Central.
Till later.
Toe to toe, right through to the very end. One was strong, like the United Democratic Party appeared to be stronger in Santa Elena, which is the largest constituency, and then Ballona appeared to be stronger in the villages. You know, so like they were balanced in a way, and so that's why PUP and UDP stayed to the end, because they knew their areas, right? But and so to me, I was in a constituency where I saw a real general election at work with the adrenaline and everything. So I had that opportunity, different from you in Kayo South.
I had the privilege of, well, like you said, I'm originally from the Belize River Valley area and live in Belmopan. So I cast my vote, did some work, and then I drove to the Belize River Valley all the way to Crooked Tree, and I even went into Ladyville, Lord's Bank area. And what I observed in the Belize River Valley, for me, was shocking. I think I saw five polling areas, and of those 5, only 2 of those polling areas, UDP had a physical tent.
Wow.
Right? In the Belize River Valley, which I believe is over 900 votes, there was no UDP tent. Right? I don't recall seeing any in Burrell Boom. Crooked Tree, there was none. You know, there was one in Sun Hill, which is the area that the aspirant for the UDP is from, so that is expected. You know, so, but what the country sees is just the results. Right? But it goes back to the discussion with machinery. If you don't have a machinery, it plays a role.
That's why I was disappointed in Belmopan, in Mr. Fraser, because on nomination day, you know that day, you have to push your machinery, because you say, then are people who come with me.
Statement there.
This is why I bring. On nomination day, Mr. Fraser just went to the booth, to the nomination center with him, his family, and his 6 nominators. It was 2 cars.
That speak right there.
And it was shocking to me because Mr. Fraser was Barrow's choice, right? And Barrow has been claiming, I had the leader. You can't have your candidate be upshown by Pantons.
Do you believe Mr. Fraser had this similar situation as a gentleman from Lakei? He gave an interview around mid-afternoon.
I believe all of Barrow's candidates had a similar situation, because I was in Kayo South, and Mr. Jose Antonio Samayoa was a no-show at all of the polling stations. It was Tracy versus the PUP, and Barrow's candidate was an afterthought in majority of the
Does that do anything for Honorable Panton's legitimacy, so to speak?
I would agree. I would say yes.
She was able to attract
I would say
better
yes.
candidates, and she was able to attract funding, sufficient funding.
Yes, because then all of Barrow's candidates came in last.
Because so the issue we're having here is because legally political parties aren't required to register, then there is always, in situations like this, there is always a scuffle as who is who.
Exactly. Had there been registrations of political parties and their constitution, etc., we would have been able to even legally as a nation, because it's democracy. And I think that's where, I need to say this because I should also say Commissioner Wade, because you sit also on the People's Constitution Commission, where we have been discussing these issues for 2 years. Mandela has been there, and so these conversations are happening. And remember, these are multi-million-dollar companies per se that have absolutely no regulations on them. And for me, I said, when I began to see the power struggle within the UDP, I said, you know what? Had there been registration of these parties and we have their bylaws, etc., enshrined in law and so on, this issue would have been resolved much faster. And so no, let's go to Mesopotamia.
So this was the
Mesopotamia.
This was the other huge shocker.
That's
I mean, I think the whole election on a whole was like
upset.
We don't know who are win. The question is by how much they are win.
Yeah.
But I'm just happy that we still had a few moments where I like, mother fella, I never said that.
I
did not see that coming. 'Cause I never see Farmer to lose.
Right?
I thought it would have been close with Shine.
Yeah.
I did not expect Shine to come in last. In his
Agreed.
I actually thought the PUP would have won Mesop.
I was
I thought
thinking
they would
that
have
as well.
two UDPs would have
cancelled each other.
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
So I thought the UDPs would have cancelled out each other, and the PUP then would have naturally risen.
So
not that the PUP had a strong contestant.
But I mean, the Prime Minister, as you can see, he selectively went to different constituencies, and that was one of them, Albert, as well. I believe, spent the better part of
yes, man.
a days walking through, right?
Kaya big in Albert.
318 Shine get.
Yeah.
318.
And Lee Mark, who only had 2 months to campaign, made the list, ended up with double the amount. I think I saw it with
601 for Mr. Lee Mark Chan. Mr. Ellis for the PUP only had 503. And Mr. Barrow had 318. Super shocking result.
Right.
Like I didn't know if it's say when I saw that the writing was on the wall for quite some time, I believe, for Mr. Barrow. He just never want to read it.
He talked it off. He talked.
I honestly
nobody beat a good talk.
I honestly expected he'd have won by a very small margin.
I thought it would have been close.
Right? And I definitely wasn't expecting Patrick to lose color. So those are, I think for me, the two biggest shockers, right?
Yeah.
That I could think of. I mean, of course, look at Benke. For me, remember, Oren Contreras ruled Benke for what? 25
decades,
years, right?
Decades.
Right, 30 years.
5 terms, I think.
Right? And so Oren Contreras, you know that they have to be very strong UDP there, right? So that was, I could expect that.
You know, Oren Contreras was so strong that he never gave an interview. You can't find interviews with Oren Contreras.
Right? You never need that.
That's true.
Right?
You will see pictures of Oren Contreras with a briefcase.
I worked for 2 terms under his ministry, and I never saw him as my
So for me, it was a surprise.
But he controls that constituency.
It was a surprise.
And so to me, if you are a PUP and you, because of a blue wave, you won in a UDP constituency, to me, man, you would have spent that 5 years to work hard to try to convince these people. Like, to me, you for know you're upon barrel territory.
Right.
That's just my impression. And okay, how big the margin that you win. To me, I saw that in Oscar Mira, that he didn't just take it for granted that he won. He put in the work. I know people could argue as to how much work he worked, but I saw him, like the Christmas lights, they tried to do things, because you are on, when you go against John Saldivar, and this is his constituency for a long period of time.
The interesting thing there with coming home now, Belmopan here, is, well, I don't know about you, but I've always heard that when you go up against Mr. Saldivar, you're probably down 1,000 votes already.
Yes.
And we saw that in his convention. I think he had 1,200 or something like that, right? But he never got much more in this election than what he got at his in his thing.
John Saldivar has always been a formidable force between 7 o'clock. As I said, from very early morning when he line up, like that a shakana too.
And he did have a fairly decent machinery. I mean, again, the thing is that a machinery is not always guaranteed, because even from within your machinery, people are working against you, right? So it's a good thing.
That's an important statement.
I remember about a month before the elections, I had an interview with Mr. Saldivar, and he stated that if he were to get blown out again, like he did in 2020, he said he would hang it up.
How did the numbers compare?
He got a blowout.
He got a blowout, but I must say I did not expect him to get so much votes. I thought that he would receive less votes. He got 1,789 votes. I was expecting somewhere 1,000, maybe 900, 800. He got a lot more votes than I thought he would have. So I don't know how he'll look at it, saying, I get a good amount of votes, make a try again, or saying, no boy, let me back out. Don't know what's going to happen there.
Well, when you are a John people, you get treated well. So John treats his people well. And so his people will always reminisce about the good old days and will stay faithful to him. But here is the thing. The constituency grew. It's moved on and it grew. And if he said that if he get a bloat, he will hang up the hat, he should hang up the hat and make room again for new people. Will he do that? I don't know. You drink that drink.
You look at 2,000. You look at 2,200 at least vote that he get beat by, He get one in a mile opinion. That one blow right there, Brent. 2,200 at least, right? He get blown by that.
You could time his votes by 2 and it still not reach.
You know what I'm saying?
But there is a Boots Martinez effect. You wake up the day before nomination day and you go, I am Boots Martinez. I will go.
You see, one of the things is, and this is why I say I think our or people are maturing and we're developing and growing as a country, not only infrastructure-wise, whatever economy, but even as a people. There's a thought where previously, and maybe to a certain extent now, people vote because of streets, because they get electricity, because they get housing. But when you look at the Constitution and what a government is to deliver, and you vote for that, it's just like if you praise a father for providing for his home. That is expected, that is your job. In terms of me, I want to know how you're going to propel my constituency. Because too many times, and can't hit the representatives, they start with their constituency and the idea is that you win, go to central government and you look at the country. But what we have to appreciate is that every single constituency is part of the larger development of Belize, right? And so I want the street. My street isn't paved right now. I live in Belmopan. I would love it to be paved, but I want to know how are we going to make Belmopan, how will we grow and build the economy of Belmopan? Right now, Belmopan still isn't a shopping area. If you want clothes, things like that. What will we do to propel business and business development in Belmopan, right?
To me, Mandela, that is tied directly to constituency size.
I was just going to say, two years
And to
would help.
yeah, and to the because a politician is looking at the numbers, and the smaller their constituency is, they can feed far more of those people. Like when you look at Stancrick West being so huge, Belmopan is now the second largest constituency in the whole country.
It's the second now?
It's now the second. That's why I said the constituency itself outgrew John Saldivar and the people that he has connected directly. Which is good, because it shouldn't be about connecting with people directly with their personal needs. It should be the national needs and the constituency needs, and then by virtue of the improvement in the constituency, you benefit personally. So we all benefit.
Become a facilitator.
Yes, rather than
an individual provider.
Exactly.
Right?
And that is what is wrong with Belizean politics. It is what is wrong, because what's in it for me still drives it. When you see the people there at 6 and at 5:30 and 5:45, they wait outside the polling station. They say, I'm not going to go vote until I get the amount of money where I quote for. And they're not afraid to tell me. They're not afraid to say it. It shows you that there is still a sizable percentage of people who see their vote as a means to an end, as opposed to see their vote as an opportunity to bring people in who can help change the whole. Not knowing, it's like when you say that when the tide rises, all ships will float. That is still not the mentality here, and it's a travesty, and I hope there is a whole generation of people that can come with that mentality that says we rise the tide, rather than boosting my personal ship with a jack and say my ship is rising. It's the tide that rises and all ships that float. I know that is my heart.
So,
now,
so both PUP and UDP, going back to the ability to have a personal connection, which is the trend right now. Both PUP and UDP has had successes in Southside Belize City. The discussion with the redistricting is that any redistricting that would take place would see constituencies being shift and shuffle around,
merged,
eliminated, merged, right? And there was a discussion under the first term of the PUP that maybe they will push it and then just capitalize on this infighting where they happen already. But now they have made gains, within UDP territory. So I wonder how would the result of this election impact that current draft that will be hopefully dusted off next week.
okay, wait. Before I want to do a shakana, which is Mr. Hyde.
Oh, 96%?
Yes.
By
Mr.
Cordell?
Hyde.
Cordell
Hyde.
Boy, that was a
Cordell Hyde. The man who come in second to him never even make 100 votes.
I told my friend that shouldn't even go in the analysis.
That was beating. And listen here, if you notice the past election, like his lead already grow, That like if you watch one horse the run, and you see them start together, and you see that one start to left, the longer the race go, the further the horse start to walk again.
Well, you have to remember Mr. What's his name? Michael Ashcroft. Remember he does his poll every year before elections now.
Yeah, right.
And Cordell Hyde was the most popular person in politics. Not in the PUP. In the entire country, in politics, more than the Prime Minister, more than Shine, could have been like close to last.
Right.
But Cordell Hyde was the most popular person in Belize.
Let's look at his numbers. Can we show
his
that?
Numbers, 4,806
It's huge.
to 92 and 19.
It's
it
huge.
was a sweep and a half. I feel bad.
Yeah, boy.
I feel bad. Like there is just no words to describe like what was the point of going to the fight.
It was a complete
and no wonder. But the beating was so bad. Sorry to put it that way. The beating was so bad that the UDP contestant, is it Samuel Kelvin?
Is Mr. Kelvin
Came out and gave an extended interview on how disappointed he was in his leader, and began to talk about the fact that the money did not come in, his leader does not deserve, Mr. Kelvin.
But no kind of money may have saved that, in my opinion, because Cordell.
You may buy a better white flag.
Right.
That's what you have to do with the money.
Right, a bigger.
You may buy a fancy white flag.
But credit to him.
Cordell.
I think, everybody
No, Mr. Hyde
would have
works.
predicted, but he works. Yeah, he even, I mean, he and the famous knapsack, right down to the last thing that they work.
That's right.
As hard as any of his workers,
yes,
you know.
yeah.
So,
You know, we don't reach there yet. However, I still look at what the PUP leadership will look like not very long from now, if or when Mr. Briceño decide to retire. Now, you said something, Mandela. We move, we skip over that. Let me just tap. I want to tap that slightly, right, before we move on. I believe we need to make the adjustment, or politicians, parliamentarians need to look at, because the Belize people, and Pastor, you said something very interesting. If you're on change board and then they do well and then the change board, I understand that. Breads, when it comes to politics, the longer you left people in power in a politics, normally they don't become better. Normally. And one thing I salute the US with, look at presidents like Ronald Reagan. Well, American, I love to see Ronald Reagan stay one other term.
Yeah.
I mean, he was loved till the last, right? Yet, it's set, man. It's in stone that two term and you're gone. It no matter how good a person you are.
Yes, but remember, they don't have that for the Senate and Congress.
No.
Right,
they only
right,
have
right,
it for,
right.
you see,
right,
so
right.
it's
And
like,
they bring the balance, right?
Yeah.
But we have to look at this and because if that's the only way we can keep politicians somewhat check and balance or not go so corrupt, I would say give them 2 terms of 5 years or 3 terms of 4 years maximum. That would be my opinion.
Prime Minister you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about on a whole, because even if you left the ministers in a government,
I think
we remember when Mr. Barrow said, for God's sake, stop it.
Yeah.
The man realized the soldier there were never here as much as the ministers them. We said that was not our secret, right? So I would say, look, man, everybody get a 2 term and make we get somebody else, and it's up to the leader to start to mold one another leader.
I think that's what prompted the Prime Minister to sort of walk back and retract his retirement statements. Because I think, could be wrong, I think he sees the mess that the UDP is in, and I think he attributes that mess to no succession plan left behind by Dean Barrow.
But can there, with our political system, again, I think I can say this as a commissioner, right? At the PDC. One of my greatest disappointments was when we lost Dr. Young and is he Dr. or Mr. Vernon? Because
Dylan Vernon
and what's him, the good doctor's name? Harold Young?
I don't know his first name, but
they have been preaching, and I've learned a lot. I will say I never joined the commission knowing and understanding everything constitution. I learned a lot. It's a great process, and I thank Mr. Chanona for leading that process, educational process. But one of the things that these gentlemen have been hitting at is deal with the structure first.
Yes.
Then you deal with the content.
Yes.
Right? And what you're referring to is a structural issue. If we are to migrate to a system like that, then we have to first look at our political system and how our governance system is structured to facilitate what you ultimately want to achieve, which I agree with. So if we don't have that discussion, then we will keep. You see this UDP thing, I'm not surprised and disappointed. The whole issue with leadership, because the PUP went through it. It wasn't blown up the way it is now, partly because of where the information age was, right? And also they were able to, I think it came about a little bit earlier on in the political cycle than with the UDP. But because we don't have a structure, because the way our political system is structured, where the prime minister comes from a specific constituency, it's not a thing where the entire country has an opportunity to vote for the prime minister. The way we don't have a proportional representative type model, then I don't think there will ever be a true transition system, because everybody that, or most people that would want to hope, if you decide to put your name on a ballot to represent a group of people, you would want to hope that that person have the type of ambition where one day they can see themselves being a leader, right? Yeah. At least for me, that's what leadership and vision is all about.
Sure.
You know, so for me, until we change our political system, you know, we will just have to continue riding this horse. You know,
Kick the pan down the road?
No, it's not necessarily kicking pan along the road. This is, listen, Belize, we're a group of people. Our constitution is the document that we say will guide our community. Right. When we don't like something, with the way our community is going, then we need to first understand what we want to achieve, and then let the people who understand how to get you from point A to point B, which is what you want to achieve, advise you, and you do those changes and make those fixes.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the total win and the leadership of Johnny Briceño. The Prime Minister. Today he was sworn in again.
Yes.
So now
beautiful ceremony.
From just Prime Minister to Right Honorable.
Yeah, right. Right Honorable now.
Yes, because it's his second term.
Okay.
And I think this is the first time in history that a second term has such a wide margin where he still commands 3/4 of the parliament. Yeah. Because in the past, when we began to move from one term to 2 terms, the second term was always very close. Even in the case of Dean Barrow, the second term was a very close, and then he widened in the third. So this is the first time in history that a leader of a political party has won his second term with a massive mandate, which is 3/4. But before we go to the danger of the democracy, let's talk about the strategy, the strategic power race that created the win. What created the win is a combination of calling the election at a point in time when he saw the crisis in the UDP. They were in no shape or form compromising. Like Shine had said, this is my position. Tracy said, this is my position, and none of them were willing to move. And so everybody was saying October, November, and he pushed March. And
good, man.
But that, to me, that was extremely strategic and a part of the victory.
Honestly speaking, I could have seen that coming a mile away, the pastor. For last year, in fact, if I call it in the last November, I would have been surprised, right? I never surprised one bit. Really, this is the opposition. It's up to them, because not tell me they never made a say that they come, but what did they do? They continue fighting, and then they start, the gap start to open far among themselves. They made effort to try and somehow patch things a little, make it look like everything is okay on the surface, where the current was running so hard underneath, and eventually it couldn't sustain itself, so it blew. And then, of course, right when it blew.
But then if you're a party leader, that's when you call elections.
Exactly.
When the opposition is in disarray, and that's what he did.
Rightfully so.
But remember, he held, in a second term, he held on to the exact same number of seats that he went into that election with, 26. 26, I think Dean Barrow held on to 17 or something like that. In his second, it was close.
16.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
No, I think it was 16, Pastor. Dean Barrow had 16, I think it was.
No,
right?
I think it was.
The government would have flipped it the last.
It had to be by 2, right? It was,
But it was close, because I think that's when Dean Barrow learned his lesson, and on the third triple teeth, he made gains. So and I think also that Johnny Briceño wants to go for that record in the third term.
You don't get into politics to lose.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't.
So it's
I don't
about
fall-
legacy now. Not just like the second term is about victory, but the third term, why he will run
Then
again
you're
is
starting
about
to flirt with
legacy.
legacy. Yes.
Well, I don't know if the man I want.
Sorry, you were
but
going to
I
say
mean,
something else.
He be
No.
He
Okay.
be 75 in a third term. I don't know if you want to push so far. You'll be up to
Well,
Mr. Briceño.
Look at him there, right?
So
on the
politics,
replay.
age too though. I don't know if that because
Yeah,
you're
but
the
it gives-
inner
the hype of the moment. A lot
Yeah.
of these politicians, the good ones, they live for the hype of the moment,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I think that in general we're like that as Belizeans,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But
So another part of the
if,
strategy-
we didn't do it, but
Yeah.
we should have show a picture when the man come in 5 years ago,
no.
as opposed to no. I mean,
Well-
leading a country, it takes its
But you
toll.
realize when Prime Minister Briceño came in, he came in. There was a lot of stress, Pastor,
Yeah.
to get the economy going again. We were in that when we borrow $1 million a day, and then he had to try and
in the
shut
middle of the
things.
pandemic.
It was really.
And
But
had
his
the whole
team,
stress with the teachers
Stuart,
as well.
Stuart
Yeah.
Leslie,
Yeah.
his brother Jaime,
Yeah.
Narda Garcia, Amalia Mai. I said Stuart Leslie already.
Yeah,
You've got,
Yeah.
How
his
if
team.
I show something here? And
Sure.
Could we say that the journey of past Mr. Barrow, Shine Barrow, in terms of wins and loss, internal political politics,
Yes.
party politics, sorry. Could you say it mirrors the now Right Honorable Johnny Briceño in the mid-2000s when he had his issues with his party?
He's still holding on to
No,
his
that's what I said. That's why I
constituency.
said
He was
party
still-
politics.
yeah.
Party politics.
Okay.
Right? He had to fight. He
Yeah.
stepped
Fight his
away.
own
He had
party.
some losses. So for me, like the victory that he has now, the victories, I think it's a bittersweet for
Yeah.
him, and it's propelling him. You know, and I think maybe the Honorable Shine might be looking ahead and say, you know what, man, Johnny went through it. The script is different, but
And Shine is.
That's a good point.
the path is in the same
and Shine is
direction.
proven-
Is Shine over?
Well, he's proven to be resilient.
He is.
You know, he's been to jail, he did the time, he come back, he took criticism for
He
his
did pretty good, I
entire
think, right?
his entire party leadership. He fight Pantone, he fight Saldiva, he fight Faba. He's been through a lot and he's proven to be resilient.
Yeah.
Is this the end for him? I think only he can answer that. But from the outside looking in, I would believe so. Because I said before, all of the candidates you chose came in last in their areas. You came in last in your area.
Yes,
I
right.
don't know where you go from there.
Oh, you pick yourself up from there.
Unless you humble yourself and go under Tracy
Yeah.
and try reforming relationships under her mentorship, under her leadership, and
with
then
your
you
Nancy
come up
Grace
again when she to go. I don't know.
I mean, to answer, I have an answer for that question. If he truly likes politics the way I think he does, I don't think it's the end of him. I mean, just look at former John Saldiva.
No, but Johnson
You know,
got done long time.
but
figure
it's
it out.
not
Last
about
at the beginning too.
yeah. He lost at the beginning,
Last at the
exactly.
But he never had his party against him.
A loss is a loss. Yes, we say the numbers matter, but at the end of the day, in terms of principle, a loss is a loss. We know that politics swing. There's a pendulum swing. So he might just, if he has patience, he can wait for the right time. You know, a lot of
Which
politics.
constituency would he run in?
Yeah, but then he doesn't have to figure that out now.
He can mess up. Personally, I think he don't mess up.
Politics.
Redistricting, remember?
Politics is the art.
Right?
I
Politics.
agree that you said that time that it's a pendulum that swings, right? But I think there comes a point
Can't count nobody out.
Remember
when
now,
you can't
True.
you
And it's
can't
still
come back.
young.
the most
young.
important thing is maintaining political capital.
I
Right?
agree,
And that
which
comes
I
with
think he
benefit
lost.
from-
Which I think he lost. Because Saldiva lost twice before winning,
Yeah.
and then he win consecutively, right?
No, but political capital also speaks to your ability to influence from within. and garner
But
partnership.
he doesn't have that.
I
because
can't say that. I don't know that we can say
The Unity
that.
Convention shows you that he doesn't have it with him.
What is against Shineborough right now?
Is the party.
Is the party. Because
So you can't convince the party.
Unless you, I've been thinking, I say, well, you can start one third.
Look there, he didn't want myself.
I'm thinking, I say, you
Like,
start one
nobody there with
third.
her. Nobody, look there.
This is
That's
going.
a lonely
The
place,
poetic word is going gently into the night.
That is a lonely place right there,
shouldn't
brother.
be. I don't know
Does
why.
he look defeated?
Yes.
He still looks like a man that has some pride and
Bro,
and some fight in him.
That's a lonely
I would
wouldn't write him off.
I would want to see Shineborough.
I want part 2 of the
Can I ask a
I would
question?
want to.
Can I ask?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Some of the things that he was advocating for.
Yes.
How do we
Yes.
feel about that?
Exactly.
Yes.
Because
No.
that is important
Yes.
now for the next generation.
He had
Do they see
convictions.
big-
He had some values and
I agree.
convictions.
And look here,
Right?
look, honestly, remember, Shine, the way I saw the way he was moving, he seemingly, right, the impression I got from him is like, one is that he never wanted John Saliva in a Fahey corner.
Which I agreed with. Because
Right.
my main concern at Pantone was hitching your wagon to Farber and to Saliva.
Right? I mean, like, bro, after all the mess we just gone through, we know how enough people could forget that so easy.
But there were two claims Barrow was making, maybe more, to his ascent to leadership. One was that he could bring the money and create the win.
Which is where he failed there.
Yes, and he failed there.
Yeah.
And the other one was that he was trying to reform and clean the party from people like.
Can you say he had some successes?
Right. Well, it washed against him. It came against him because remember they put
There was some
got up against
there
him.
was some success to the philosophy. He personally lost at this point in time.
Yeah.
But
That's why I say I would want to see Shineborough back, but I would want to see a different Shineborough back because
I agree.
like I said it from the very beginning, like what Shine should have done when the challenges began to come, like really hard, and he could not fight, he could not shake off.
Yeah.
Like I think that's when he should have stepped back for to save. There's certain fights that you wait for later.
Yeah.
And I don't think that he was properly advised by people who should have known better. They kept, or he did not listen, then which is a part that needs to be changed. But Shine should have stepped back and fight another day. To step back and fight another day. And then he would have come, when he stepped back, he would have stepped back with enough people saying, enough respect, that even though you are the leader, you were willing to step back for sake of party, for sake of
You
this.
should have learned something from the Farber and Saldiva, because they have both regressed in different times.
Yes.
Strategically, I've seen those fellas step back together and then they go back at it head and head.
Because there's a time to take a hit and then come back, and he just stayed.
Yeah. It was not
so,
the time
but
for that.
I would want to see a return of Shine, but a more humbled, sober, mature. Not saying that he's immature, but just more mature. I would say maturing.
Maybe learn from this experience, maybe.
Politics is at the end of the day.
And you'd have to humble yourself under Tracy and so on.
If
And
you're
work
going
his
to
way back
get
there.
involved at that level.
I think we have a caller. I think we have a caller.
Yeah.
Caller, good evening.
Good evening, guys. I see parallels in this UDP to the PUP of after the big loss, no? 2008, I think it was. They tried to reform the party. That is when John Briceño took over, no? But the old guard refused to give up. And they fought him until they forced him to resign. Basically, it was PUP against PUP, just like the UDP are doing right now. And they forced him to resign. And basically, the older faction of the UDP, of the PUP won and took over again. But what happened after that? They lost and they lost and they lost. Until Johnny took over again, kind of reformed the party, brought in new candidates, and now the success has been continuous. I think that is what the UDP was trying to do or was thinking of doing with Shine. He was a new leader trying to clean out the old politicians. And of course, who gives up power willingly? Absolutely nobody. And the old school UDP fought him tooth and nail. That faction is represented by Tracy Panton. So I think that the old school faction won that fight. And I think that is going to harm them for another term. They have to reform. They can't get away from that. What I think is in Tracy's favor is that the result, well, if UP did it for her, where the two of her main challengers, which is Saldivar and Faber, both lost, giving her a chance now to reform the party.
She could
If
also
that's the
stand on
party
her
side,
own rather than stand up with these two individuals who have controversial
Right.
reputations standing beside her. She can now stand clean on her own.
If she's very smart, she will absolutely continue the work that Shine was doing. Shine was just the wrong leader at the wrong time, but his philosophy was right. He needed to get rid of the old UDP. He saw what happened to the PUP, knew it would never work. It did not work. You cannot keep the old faces and expect to win or your party to grow. The resounding loss that they took the election before this one clearly showed that the Belizean populace was tired of the UDP. And what did Tracy do? She brought back the same people. It was the same people. If you remember, it was Castro, it was Faber, it was Saldivar, Figueroa. It was all of those people. I hope that she has the wherewithal to move on from those people. I am not sure that she does. She has depended on people like John Saldivar and his contacts and his network to remain the leader of the UDP. He was her main strategist. Everybody knows that. So I hope that she is now freed of her shackles, basically, of those old politicians, and move on and really put new people. It's incumbent on them. Belmopan has shown that, man, it's over John Saliva, man. They are over him. I expected him to get less votes, but yeah, he has a die-hard crew of people that will vote for him no matter what it appears. It showed in the convention. It showed in the last election where he got about 2,000 votes. This time he got about 1,700 votes. That amount of people believe in him and will vote for him no matter what. But that will never be enough to get him over the hump. And Faber, unfortunately, I think he's done too. I hope that Tracy has the wherewithal to move on from the older heads and reform the party. It's what's needed, or they will never compete. The PUP went exactly through that process, and until Johnny Briceño came back, and then it got going, and now they've been winning ever since. I hope the UDP gets up, learns from them.
100% agree. I think Barrow had the right message but was the wrong person with the reforming of the party.
I agree.
I think Ms. Panton should look to revamp the party. I think don't count next elections as a loss.
But they done the talk, but the only thing is because she done the talk, but listen, but she done
I
the
see.
But you hear what they say?
Politics is
But
the
you
art
hear what
of
they
the
say?
impossible.
Listen, while I
Don't count them out.
Count it as a loss and rebuild.
Listen,
Good.
While I kind of like Patrick, right? Yet she don't say, no worry, Patrick will be back. Patrick will be back.
I would want him to be back in an advisory role.
I want to hear somebody new.
Carla?
The plan was for either Patrick to take over the leadership after this entire elections was over. The plan was never for Tracy to stay there. In my opinion, the plan was always for either Patrick to take over or for John Saliva to make a comeback. I personally never thought John Saliva would ever make it back. He's too damaged politically. But I think Patrick could have made it, which makes his loss even more shocking to me. I never saw that one coming. I'm in the political sphere now, but I wasn't born in politics. But lately I'm very involved in politics, and I personally
Hey.
never saw that one coming.
That's all right.
When you drink from it,
Listen now, I'm telling, listen now. What Tracy needs to start to do, that try and get people like myself. What I want to say some serious reform in the party. Because personally, I don't like the idea of having one party that run too long. I don't like it.
You to put yourself out.
No.
Your exact words was
Guys.
someone like myself.
Give me somebody like myself. What I want to look at what will be my option for the next election.
Okay.
For the next election. Because
I remember one. I always remember this one thing that Said Musa. I met with Said Musa along with a colleague, and he said something very interesting. He said, "Nobody gives up power willingly," and he said, "In the history of every party, nobody wants to give up power. Somebody has to go and take it." It happened with George Price. He did not give it up. Said Musa, and at that time it was the guy who was at Spear. They went and took the power away from George Price and retired him.
Assad Schumann.
Yes,
Yeah.
Assad Schumann. They had to go and take it. He said, and you know what he said? He said, "Why should I give up power in Fort George when nobody is willing or able to take it away from me? I'm going to stay there." And this is in all party politics. It's nice. It's nice to say, you know what, we are in for the benefit, and we're going to be there for 1 or 2 terms, and we're going to give it up. That never, ever happened.
Thank you,
I think
Carla.
Mandela-
Thank you very much for your call. Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you, Carla.
All right, guys, we got 15 minutes
We got-
more. We got about 15 minutes more to go.
One of the things I want to say also, Pastor, is well, let's look at History Breaker also, because
Which one?
we have Corozal, where we find what's her name, Vega.
Ms. Vega.
Oh, okay, Ms. Vega. Yeah, Elvin Vega versus.
She break the record as an independent candidate, because who was holding that record for a while was Anna Guy from Belmopan as an independent candidate. But she had a record for that.
No, but
Getting
I
the
would say-
most votes.
But
And this is the first time that an independent candidate has gotten more than one of the two
No, but-
major.
but-
Over 1,000 votes.
Yeah.
That was huge, though.
Remember that Philip Goulson broke away from the United Democratic Party,
Yeah.
formed his own party, and won.
Alliance, the alliance,
And he won. NABR, NABR.
NABR,
And Theodore Aranda did exactly
Yes,
the same thing
yes,
in Dangriga.
yes.
So those are actual winners. We have, as far as I know, we have actual winners. Not just the fact that they garnered many votes, but the fact that they actually won. Now, granted, those were 2 seasoned politicians from major parties that broke away, which is probably. This is the thinking now. If we want to have third parties and those types of stuff, we are showing that where it is possibly successful is to have somebody who has run in a major political party, is still popular, and then moves. Because that's what Anna did.
Yes.
And that is who Miss Vega Samos is a person who was in a major party and then moved. So many of the third parties that we have are people who are never involved in politics and they get into third politics. So it's not that Belize can never or even doesn't have the appetite for third party or independent, etc. It is a person who already has a platform and is already leading. The thing with Miss Vega is Miss Vega, Samos Vega, is that she did not spend enough time in the People's United Party to continue to build her own, so the political capital. She needed more time, and then she just decided to go independent. Like it was a
Well, she filled in from her brother after her brother passed away. She came in, and so that was like. But yet she was the major campaign manager.
Well, again, she came in her brother's shadow, and yet she garnered a lot of votes.
Absolutely.
But I mean, Tia had the machinery, she had the support, and she's formidable by herself, because I was noticing Miss Tia from even before she entered the political arena. she's
Very big
a
in that
mover
in the
and
north.
shaker.
And having the backing
Right?
of the government behind her as well, right? So
Yeah.
there was a good support. So
Well,
that,
she had her own platform.
well, see,
She had-
that,
she
had
but
a
see,
platform.
Pastor, that is why I continue to say, men seeing that she had, because Samus was coming against government candidate and garnered that amount of vote, I thought it was fantastic because she got 1,000.
So with this overwhelming sweeping majority or maintaining the majority, what are some of the difficulties?
No, maybe we could
Prime
close
Minister
our,
will have.
close our conversation on the challenges
second
of
term-
superpower.
Second term is usually when the corruption starts seep in, right?
That's right.
Sadly.
That's right.
Yes,
First
become
term-
visible. You mean
Yes, yes. It's true.
First term, your work.
Yeah.
Because you want to win a second
One
term.
for you.
Yeah. Then a one for me.
Well,
Hopefully that is not the case.
Well, Jay, you know well enough to remember that.
No, I study.
Hey, that's when the
I'm
UDP
not so old. I was 26.
Because that's when I voted twice for the UDP because they had never served two terms
Yeah.
in history, and I decided, listen, if my vote won't be that for serve second term, I will go for it, and voted for the UDP second term. Before halfway through that second term
Start
passing,
regret, no, start scratch your head.
we start to talk about it, right? Because I was extremely disappointed. Not regret that I gave the vote because I thought it was fair, right?
Yeah.
For them to prove to me and to the Belizean people, you prove, I will give you that opportunity. And boy, did they prove that they were the best, right?
Well, for me, what I want to watch for are the dynamics of how ministries will be allocated, because
Yeah.
the
new
the
cabinet.
sweeping majority is across the entire country.
Portfolios you're
No,
talking
no
about.
specific.
Yeah.
Well, they win all the south actually, right?
True.
So for me, it'd be interesting to see how. Well, we don't know. There is one man who already secured a ministry before the election, right? The Foreign Affairs Minister, as per the Prime Minister's word, right? But yeah, I mean. No.
Francis Fonseca.
Yeah, Honorable Francis Fonseca.
Francis Fonseca.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm just repeating what the Prime Minister said he would have
okay.
done when he did his own analysis. But
Yeah.
I mean, because they are big ministries that carries has the ability to divert and move around resources, etc. Right? Clearly, everybody knows that at some point in time, the Prime Minister will be moving on. So again, if you're a minister that has leadership ambition, your ability to control resources to build political capital at the cabinet level, at your peers level is important, right? The Prime Minister foretold something several months ago that the PUP is talented. They have so many people in there that has leadership potential, and while that might be a good thing, it can be a bad thing in the sense that if indeed there is so many people with leadership ambition, then how do you manage that? Right?
Yeah. It's touching.
Because even the Prime Minister, I'm pretty sure he wants to go out with the North remaining blue. I mean, that's his background, that's his
Succession
hometown,
plan.
right?
Yeah.
So, like I said, I don't believe in true succession planning in politics because of the ambitions that are there. Because succession planning will say that I will take you, LJ, and I will groom you
Then
for
we
X,
start
Y, Z.
grow
Right?
jealousy in the
To
party
me,
and
what the People's United Party was able to do in its reconstitution after its last, was it 08?
08.
Yeah,
08, was that it power shared.
Okay.
It created multiple deputy leaders. They created zones of the country, and then they shared it. Like what Cordell gets, what the Moosas get, what the power hitters, like they share the power, and that power it continues to create the balance that we see. Because you will see the Prime Minister say, I will do this, then after a couple of weeks or sometimes they say, okay, I changed my mind. This Prime Minister has changed his mind on multiple things, saying I will go here and go, and that power play is seen. And power sharing, that was the whole thing about the United States, which created its success. That dividing and say, okay, these are the powers that the president will have. These will reside in the judiciary. These are going to reside in the upper and the lower house. And even right now, with a person like Donald Trump as president, you know, he's written so many executive orders, but there you have the court on the other side batting down several, and then you see that you can see the balance of power at play in the United States. And I would want to see more of that balance of power seen in the country of Belize. And I think you are right that the structure, we should have focused on structure. And I've said that before, and let the other things work themselves. Because if you build the machine right, then you could throw things in there and see how and everything
these guys could do that though. They have the power to do it. They have the will to do it.
You know. And I think that is what true legacy is. To leave a system better than you found it, rather than simply capitalize this and vandalize the system, or just to use the system to your own political aspirations. No, improve the system, make the system better than it was when because we are not angels. Don't come and tell me this is our good man, this is our good woman. Tell me this is a good system.
It's a good legacy pitch.
This is a good system, and it's true. Let that be your legacy, Prime Minister Briceño. You know, closing comments. LJ, we're going to start with you on your closing.
Just glad the elections are finally over, so we can move past that dumb stuff fire. I thought it was pretty clear who was going to win. I think the question was just by how many. I did think that the UDP would have gotten less seats. I was saying maybe about 4 seats. But they remained with the 5. Nothing changes. The PUP maintains their supermajority in the House, and I look forward to see what they plan to do for these next years. And I'm satisfied with the work that they've did. In their first term, I can see work was being done. You know, as a journalist, I've covered a lot of people receiving houses for the first time. I've seen streets being paved that were just on grass, on picado. They have helped farmers a lot, open up the cattle industry. I can see the work that was put in, and I just hope that the work continues for the betterment of the country.
I have to echo that and say yes, amen to what you just said, LG, and I will save the time to repeat what you said. But yes, it is so. I have seen it. I've seen what they have done for that first term. Please, man, not change that, sir. Keep it like that, man. Go down, go proper, right? You don't start good and end up like one disgrace, right? You don't start good already. Finish the same kind of way. And rightfully so, elections is over. Work for the people of Belize. Work for the constituents. Your constituents are not PUP. Your constituents is a mix of PUP and UDP and any other P, whoever else. That's the constituents. Work for them. Work for us. And hey, if you when you're finished, when you retire, you could say I gone down proper, and people could remember you. Leave a legacy. And finally, I was told, I asked several questions over the years, Pastor, of the people of Belize, the voting people on both sides. Why are you a PUP? Why are you a UDP? And so far, the best answer I've really ever received, I think, if for anything, I mean, it was the person that says, watch, I don't want UDP because you will never see one black man be prime minister as a PUP. Well, you know, I say, okay, well, listen to me. If you see the way Cordell licked down for his constituents, and power punch when he gives them, right? And Cordell, I know Spanish or white, right? So, who knows? Let's see what happen. Personally, I mean, if we were to be voting as far as individually for a prime minister, I kind of have a feeling where my vote might go, right? But I don't want to tell you that I want secrets between me and you. It was a good election.
But you are tell me after. That's your record. You are tell me after.
See, like, your vote prophetic.
Mandela,
Yeah, well,
comment.
yeah, it's been a good 2 hours. I would say, for me, manifestos are made to win elections, right? Let's start there. So what I will be looking forward is to see the type of policies that will be cemented in place that will determine sustainability, right? This whole Donald Trump presidency, I think, will reshape some of our policies or some of our foreign policies. We're already seeing the effects of some of that. And so that, I think, will question, will bring into question the sustainability of some of our existing policy, including some of the behind the scenes that happens with the blue bond, right? And the maintenance of that. So you see the statistics says that the second term will be a worse term, right? I don't want to hope that on any government because it is our government, right? Yes. It's not the PUP that will fail. It will be the Belizean people that will take a licking and a hurting, right? I am happy I get the feeling that it's no longer about if you're red or if you're blue. I think our society is changing now where people are looking at candidates and what they have to offer. And so, for me, what that says is democracy is still very much alive in this country, and my message to my generation and younger, sorry, Mr. Santi, is that democracy is something that you live every day, right? It's not about every 5 years or every 4.5 years or whenever a prime minister decides to call an election. We need to be engaged and involved in the discussion, and that keeps Pastor Wade and the crew and Rise and Shine going. It gives them something of substance to talk about, and even the media, Pastor Wade has an important role in keeping the issues at the forefront, which the media has done a good job on that. What needs to happen is that some of the issues need to remain on the front burner, right? The issues that will call for good governance, etc., right? So I'll leave it there.
And I laugh because I understand that Dickie Bradley said that Jules and Mose were doing a very good job of being the opposition, and Louis Wade too, until he got distracted by religion and gardening. I said, good one, as usual. I thought it was funny and maybe even true. It was well said. But here we are giving analysis, enjoying what I do. Yes, by virtue of these elections, my role shifts significantly. Your role shifts significantly, and the role of the media will become even more important. But everybody must play their role in the democracy of their country. You can't just vote once every 3 or 5 years, depending on if it's municipal, village, or national, and then walk away. A democracy is dynamic. It requires love for your country every single day. And it requires participating in that democracy. Whether on social media, where you simply write your opinions, or you call into a talk show, or you write an article or a letter to an editor in a newspaper, or join a WhatsApp group, or go to school. You're in school, join the debating team, learn to debate. Watch the because the next big thing that's going to come up right now is going to be the budget, and many people are saying, boy, you have an election before a budget and 5 years ahead to be in. What will that budget look like? All of these things play a role. So be a participant in your democracy. So I want to take this opportunity to thank our panel. Mandela, thank you so very much for being here with us, and I say I hope it's not the last. I really appreciate many of your insights, and we're glad that you're here with us. LJ, Certainly. Please keep up the good
Yes.
work. Very proud of the work that you are doing.
Yes, sir.
And Pastor Santi, thank you so much for being there and telling it like it is. I mean, you actually tell everybody how you vote. Not that we yeah. But we're always grateful. But I also want to thank the team that is behind the scenes. They were working all of yesterday, and here they are again tonight helping with this analysis.
Yeah.
So we do want to shout out Aaron and Kyle, as well as Zamir and Amar, who who are behind the scenes. They're doing the camera work and the switching and so on. We're grateful to the work that you guys have done over the last more than 24 hours plus, and then even tonight. Thank you guys very much. And Belize, thank you so much, all of you who are watching us on stream, listening to us on the app, or watching on cable TV. Thank you very much, and good night.
Good man.